Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're prepping for NEET, you've come to the right place. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most amazing chapters in all of biology, human reproduction. We're going to do a one-shot revision of the entire thing, from a single cell all the way to a new life. It's going to be fast, it's going to be thorough, so let's get right into it. But before we jump into all the complex terms and diagrams, let's just take a step back and think about the big question here. How does life, create more life? It's really the most fundamental drive, the thing that ensures every species, including us, continues to exist. And the answer is kind of right there in the word itself. You break it down, right? Re means again, and production means to make. So, reproduction is simply the biological process of making new individuals again and again. It's the grand cycle of life in action. Now, this whole incredible story plays out in 6 major acts. This is our roadmap for today. First, you've got to make the special cells, the gametes. Then they have to be transferred. Then they fuse together. After that, there's attachment, development, and finally, birth. We're going to walk through this journey step by step. So, where do we start? First up, we're going to look at the male blueprint. We'll cover the anatomy and that absolutely fascinating process of how sperm are made. Okay, so first, a really important distinction you need to know. The reproductive system has 2 main types of organs. The primary organs, think of them as the factories. The testes in males, the ovaries in females. They produce the gametes and the hormones. Everything else, that's a secondary organ. They're the support crew, the transport, storage, and maturation team. Super important, but they don't make the gametes themselves. So the male system has these 4 main parts, all working together. You've got the primary organ, the testes. Then you've got this whole network of tubes, the accessory ducts, which are basically the highway system. Then you have the accessory glands that add important fluids to the semen. And finally, the external genitalia. Let's see how it's all connected. Now listen up, because this is a classic exam question. The exact path a sperm takes. You've got to know this sequence. It all starts in the seminiferous tubules where they're made. From there, they travel into the rate, testes, then the vasa, efferentia, and then into the epididymis, where they mature. Finally, it's a long journey up the vas deferens into the ejaculatory duct and out through the urethra. It's a specific path, so make sure you've got it memorized. Let's zoom in a little. Inside those testes are these super long coiled tubes called seminiferous tubules. This is ground zero. This is where the magic really happens. Inside these tiny tubes, you've got 2 superstar cells, the male germ cells, which actually turn into sperm, and the Sertoli cells. Think of Sertoli cells as nurse cells. They provide all the food and support the developing sperm need. So what triggers this whole factory to start working? Hormones, of course. And it all starts in the brain. The hypothalamus releases a hormone called GnRH. That GnRH tells the pituitary gland, hey, get to work. The pituitary then releases 2 key players, LH and FSH. LH travels to a different set of cells, the Leydig cells, and tells them to make testosterone. Meanwhile, FSH goes to those Sertoli cells we just talked about and tells them to support sperm production. It's a perfect chain of command. And this is the process itself, spermatogenesis. We start with a diploid cell, a spermatogonium. It grows, and then it goes through 2 rounds of special division called meiosis. Now here's the most important part. After meiosis I, the chromosome number gets cut in half. We go from diploid, or 2N, to haploid, or N. This is absolutely critical, right? Because when the sperm meets the egg, you need to restore the correct number. Then meiosis II happens, giving us 4 haploid spermatids. And these guys finally mature into the sperm cells we all recognize. Okay, so that's the male half of the equation down. Now, let's switch gears and turn to the female blueprint to look at the anatomy and the very different process of creating an egg. And this is where things get really, really interesting. Look at how different these 2 processes are. Spermatogenesis kicks off at puberty and just keeps going. Oogenesis, on the other hand, actually starts when a female is still in embryo in the womb. It then pauses for years and continues in cycles. And the end result is totally different too. 4 tiny mobile sperm versus 1 single massive egg cell filled with nutrients. These differences are key for your exams. The menstrual cycle is basically a hormonal symphony with 4 main musicians. You've got FSH, which starts things off by getting the follicles in the ovary to grow. As a follicle grows, it pumps out estrogen, which rebuilds the lining of the uterus. Then comes the star of the show, a massive spike in LH, the LH surge, which is the direct signal for the egg to be released. That's ovulation. And finally, progesterone takes over to keep that uterine lining nice and thick just in case of a pregnancy.
It's a beautiful, intricate dance. So we've got our sperm, we've got our egg. Now we're at the main event, the moment of creation itself, where these two cells meet and a new life begins. Let's talk about fertilization and the critical next step, implantation.
The first week of life is just wow. It's an incredible journey. It starts with fertilization, usually in the fallopian tube, which creates that first cell, the zygote. Then this one cell starts dividing like crazy. This is called cleavage. It goes from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, until it's a solid little ball of cells called embryo. As it travels towards the uterus, it hollows out and becomes a blastocyst, and that is the structure that will finally attach to the uterine wall. I love this analogy because it's just so perfect. Imagine the uterine lining is like soft, warm clay. The embryo's outer cells literally grow these little projections, like fingers, that dig deep into that lining. They interlock and form this incredibly secure, intimate bond between the embryo and the mother. Once that attachment is secure, the 9-month marathon of pregnancy has officially begun. So now, let's look at how that embryo develops and the process that finally brings it into the world, parturition. Hormones are the managers of this whole 9-month project. HCG is the famous one. It's what pregnancy tests detect. Its main job is to keep the corpus luteum going early on. Progesterone is the progestation hormone. Its whole job is to maintain the pregnancy. Estrogen helps with the baby's development. And then, when it's go time, oxytocin is the one that gets the powerful uterine contractions started for labor. And that whole process of childbirth has a scientific name, parturition. It's called a neuroendocrine mechanism, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a complex conversation between the nervous system and the endocrine or hormone system. It's a cascade of signals involving cortisol, estrogens, and of course a whole lot of oxytocin. All right, we have covered a ton of information. So let's see if it's stuck. Time to put your knowledge to the test with a quick question, just like one you'd see in your exam. You ready for this? Okay, here it is. If you start with 200 secondary spermatocytes, how many mature sperm will you get at the end of the process? Think back to that spermatogenesis timeline. I'll give you a second to think. And the answer is 400. Did you get it? Remember, each secondary spermatocyte goes through meiosis too, and that division produces 2 spermatids, which then become 2 sperm. So you just double the number. 200 times 2 is 400. Awesome job if you got that right. And that's it. We just flew through the entire human reproduction chapter. How are you feeling? Did you nail that question? More importantly, what topic do you want us to break down next? Let us know in the comments below. We make these for you, so tell us what you need. If you found this rapid revision helpful, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one-shot lecture. Keep studying hard, keep asking questions, and we'll catch you in the next explainer. Good luck!